Hey, my friend, everyday cyclist. My name is Graeme Street. I'm the owner for cyclo-core and cycloclub.com, and you're joining me here on my YouTube channel or on my websites with tips that's going to help you not make the same mistakes that I have made a million times before on going long. As an everyday cyclist, I can tell you that endurance is not one of my particular strengths. It's something that over the past 28 years of riding, I've had to work very hard to become better at. I've made just about every mistake you can make when it comes to going long. And right now I'm in the process of training for the D2R2. You maybe heard me speak about it before. The Deerfield Dirt Road Randonnée. It's 180 kilometers. It's about 112 miles, give or take. 16,000 feet of vertical gain on basically 80 plus miles of dirt and carriage roads through the state of Vermont and Massachusetts. This is a ride I've done before. I'd probably say it's one of the toughest, best, hardest, most epic rides you will ever do. This is the bike I'm training on today. I'm about one month out right now. I just used this bike for the Jeremy Powers Grand Fondo up in Southampton, Mass. Same kind of thing. 62 miles, actually 68 for me. Dirt roads, randonnée tires, cyclocross bike. Today is a training ride. Today's objective. A couple tips for you. First of all, my objective today is to do what's called back pacing. What the hell does that mean? It means I'm going out for about 4 to 6 hours today. Yet to be determined by the weather. I'm not going to go out there in scorching heat for more than 5 hours. Back pacing is basically using an effort gauge. In this case, I'm using a heart rate monitor. You could also use a power meter, and if you have to, just speed and cadence. I'm setting basically a budget for the first hour. I'm not allowed to go over my zone 3 ability. That means that my heart rate can't go above 150 beats per minute regardless of terrain. That also means that I have to make sure that I'm basically back pacing and working harder as the ride gets harder. I'm expecting to climb between 5,000 and 7,000 feet of vertical gain today. A tough course I have planned. It's going to get very hot. If you don't back pace going into a hard event, a hard training ride, and you try to dish out zone 3 plus, zone 4 level effort, you're going to hit like your second hour, your third hour, and you're going to start to see this big decline in your performance level. So try not to be over eager when you head out, whether it's for a training ride or event. It's better to come into your ride slower than your estimated pace and then begin to progress that as the challenge or the ride gets harder. Don't be one of those people like I used to be, blowing yourself up in the beginning and then having an absolute sufferfest for the rest of the 4 or 5 hour rides. It's not fun. Second thing, hydration and fueling. Don't be afraid, okay, to carry the big water bottles. This is the 25-ounce Camelback, insulated. You can hear the ice I've got in here. I don't care if it doesn't look pro on my bike. I could give a shit. When you're going out solo or you're going out for an epic ride, hydration and fueling is key. Keep some money in your back pocket. I expect to fill these up at least one more time today. That'll be a total of 100 ounces. More than likely, I'll probably fill them up twice. That's going to be 150 ounces of fluid and intake. You don't do that, you're going to run into problems, especially if it's hot. So if you're one of those people that tends to cramp, or you've cramped in the past on long rides, hydration is key. Fueling is also key. A lot of us tend to underfuel for long rides. And it's a lot of times, if it is hot and sunny, I know for me, it's tough to eat a lot of calories. You got to stay on top of it. If you get behind on your calories and on your hydration, and you're an hour and a half in of a 5 or 6 hour epic ride, you are screwed. You got to stay ahead of it. That means about every 30, maximum every 40 minutes, you got to be ingesting between 50 and 150 calories. It depends on the individual and what your stomach can handle. Keep the food simple. Those of you that are eating, huge amounts of snacks and sandwiches and chips and things like that, I'm not saying you can't do that, but for a lot of us, our digestive tract doesn't like to take on a lot of added stress as we're doing high intensity load or long endurance load. Third thing, when you're out there, this is where your training really comes into play. So today, again, I'm climbing about 5,000 to 7,000 feet is estimated for today's course. We'll see when I get out there. But the route I have planned has some steep walls, just like D2R2 will have, just like VT50 will have. These are my goals that are coming up in the near future. I'll be doing what's called technique rotation. And what that means is I'll be using from Cyclo 90 base and Cyclo 90 in season, which I know many of you are using. In those hit sessions, I go over how many different techniques from shoe scrapers, knee thrusters, scissor kicks, levitations, wagon wheels, popcorns. The purpose today is to rotate those techniques based on terrain. And what you're really doing there is you're conditioning your body and your brain to basically segment energy. And that's the real secret of endurance riding. And again, it's taken me 28 years to master this. And again, I've got a long way to go. You never really truly master the endurance, but learning how to basically rotate where your energy is coming from. So many of us have basically one pedaling style, and for most of you, it's the mashing through the front, and it's quad dominant, which is how most people tend to ride. Big mistake, because so much of our power is in our rear, our hamstrings, our glutes, our spinal erectors. These are weak areas for a lot of us, and if you want to go long, and you want to do long distance events, whether it's centuries, double centuries, D2R2s, randonnaise, gravel grinders, which are becoming really popular. If you have a weak link in your core, your transverse abdominal plane, this whole area here, through your hip girdle, your lower back, if those areas are weak in any way, you can get to hour 2, hour 3, and I don't care what your aerobic capacity is, you're going to see a dramatic decline in performance, and more importantly, a decline in enjoyment. If you've ever been out on a long ride, especially a hard one, and your back starts to hurt, you start to cramp, you have a lack of muscular endurance, your body begins to break down past hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, it's not fun. This is where your training comes into place. So many of you that are using Cyclo-90 base, just know that the workouts I'm doing there, both on the bike and off the bike, are designed to build that muscular endurance. Then once we move you to Cyclo-90 in season, for road or mountain bike, the workouts get more aggressive. I have you outside, obviously, a lot more for the in-season stuff, and during that time, we're looking to further accentuate both your muscular endurance, your neuromuscular strength or ability to basically crank over faster on the pedal stroke for longer, and of course your aerobic capacity. You combine those three things together, and now your body begins to resist fatigue. And that's the real final secret there for endurance is don't think about how long your body can go. Think about how long you can train it to withstand fatigue. Does that make sense? Meaning, how resilient is your body? And not just your aerobic capacity, but also your core, your mobility, your flexibility, your ability to resist against cramping. These things have to be trained. For most of us, myself included, these things are not inherent. You have to work at it. You have to go out there and purposely put yourself in a vulnerable position. So today, I do expect to be pretty vulnerable out there. It's going to be hot. I've done some pretty serious training since I've been back from BC Bike Race. I'm light, I'm strong right now, but I am a little bit fatigued. I haven't had a lot of good sleep the past couple days for my 2-year-old Kai has been kind of kicking my ass. So I do expect today I could hit some walls. And knowing that going into the endurance style ride and your training is going to help you because when you get to your event, and when I get to D2R2, 180K, 16,000 feet of dirt roads, hot conditions, I'm going to hit walls, quite literally. And if you train for that, you practice for that in advance, you're going to be 10 steps ahead. Hope these tips are helpful. If you've got any questions for me, leave them below. I'll talk to you later after I get back from the ride. I'm looking forward to today. Later.